Okay. So I think you've done a really good job of this, right? I think it's about halfway there, in that I think you've got one half of like the real the rhetorical strategy that he's trying to use. And so what I think you did a great job at picking up on was the way that he's appealing to the emotion, right? And you used one example here that I thought was really good. So the brave men living in them who struggled here have consecrated it, right? How is that a really good appeal to emotion? You identified it as pathos.
So it's a really good appeal because when he talks about like brave or talks about people who have died, that taps into like the audience's like maybe pity or sympathetic type of emotion. So he's trying to get his reader to kind of like be on his side or like or to agree with his argument.
Right, because of the power of the emotion.
Yes.
Right. And so whenever you're teaching this, are you gonna insist that like any correct answer have this quote in it?
I think that quote is definitely an option, but I don't think that that's the only quote.
Good. Say more about that. Why not?
Because there are other ways or other pieces of rhetoric that are being used in the text.
For what purpose?
To get the reader to side with him based on emotion.
Okay. Yeah. Exactly. Right. And I'm glad you threw on that last part. That's what you're really looking for here. So you said that like one part of the mastery response needs to be identifying how he appeals with pathos or with emotion, right? And that can be from various points in the text. We can think of lots of answers that wouldn't qualify, right? But there's also more than one that would qualify, right? And you got a good one here. Why don't you just go back really quickly and see if you can find me another example of when he used pathos.
Okay. So one thing that I noted here is that he talks about that from these honored dead we take increased devotion to that cause for which they gave the last full measure of their devotion.
Yeah.
So I picked that out because I mean he mentions this idea of dead again, so that taps into some type of emotion, but also someone who's using like all of their energy, all of their strength, and then who is now like passed over.
Yeah, used it all.
And has died as a result of that. Definitely, you know, he's trying to say, hey, like a lot of people have died for this reason. So this is why you need to do what you're doing.
Good. And where's this happening? Do you have the historical context to know like where he's giving the speech?
I know it's Gettysburg.
Yeah.
Because I mean the Gettysburg Address, but 1863.
Yeah.
But
so it's after the Battle of Gettysburg.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
One of the bloodiest battles.
The Civil War. Yeah.
Right. And he's there to mourn those people who died. Right. And so that makes it an extra, an especially powerful emotional argument to be standing there on the battlefield. Right. We can sort of picture people looking out where this massive, deadly, bloody battle has happened. At any time he's referencing the dead, right? He's sort of making this emotional appeal to do what?
Making this emotional appeal to keep fighting.
Yeah.
To keep fighting, not to give up, and not to not honor these people who have already died.
Yeah, great. And so I think that is like one half of sort of the answer that you're looking for in a mastery response. You came up with a good example at first, and then you found some other ones. Always keeping in mind the historical context of what this looks like. I think there's also a logical argument, though, that he's trying to make. He's using logos, too, right? Talk through with me a little bit here, any examples of when you saw him making a logical push for why people needed to continue fighting this war. Do you remember any examples?
Not right off, but just give me a minute to go back in.
Why don't you take a quick look? This time look for examples of logic.
Okay.
You may be looking, when you look just in that first paragraph.
Yeah, that's exactly what I'm looking at. are fallen off for this continent and the nation, conceived in liberty, and all men are created equal. So let's go ahead and stop right there.
Yep.
And the reason I picked, the one thing that I picked out is that
So this is motion?
Yep, there we go. We're back. So one thing that I picked out is that this idea of all men being created equal.
Yeah.
And the reason why I guess we can pick that out for Logos is because like the Civil War has a lot. The Civil War has a lot to do with equality. And
why?
Just because I mean we have a lot of the African American slaves who.
Yeah. Don't talk around it.
Yep. So
right.
we have a lot of slaves who free labor and pretty much that's what we're fighting for, the ability to be free.
Right. And where's that language of all men being created equal? Do you know where that comes from?
That comes from I can't remember, this Constitution?
Declaration.
Declaration of Independence, that's what it is.
Yeah, right. And so put that together, right? He's using the Declaration of Independence, right? We have war about slavery and the equality of black people in this country. Tie that together into like what his logical argument could be, and what it is.
The logical argument is that I mean we as people and our supporters of like African Americans have been fighting so long, for this ability to be free. And I mean, if they give up now, then this, fight is just pretty much going like unwon. Like we need to continue to fight so that we can get this equality for everyone.
I think that's most of the way there. The extra little bit is that he's using the language of the founding of the country, right? Like this is us, right? This is why we exist. It's because we believe that all men are created equal. We are fighting for that right now, right? We cannot give up on that fight and be true to that proposition upon which we were founded originally.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense just because the idea of all men being created equally when in the Declaration of Independence, like all actuality, we were not.
Yeah.
So using that and trying to like as logos and logic, like it makes a lot of sense.
So put it together for me now for what you're going to look for from your students when you teach this.
So I am looking for different uses of like rhetoric. And we talked about a lot about pathos and using like emotions to appeal to the audience, but also logos, so that bit of logic to also appeal to the audience to try to get the audience to side one way or another.
Right, and expand a little bit on each of those. Pathos, how is he appealing to emotion?
So pathos is appealing to emotion by usually like some type of sad emotion, but in the text specifically, he uses death and the dead and honoring the dead to get to invoke that emotion. Then when we look at logic, he's looking at the fact that like our country was built on slaves, and the fact that us as people want to be free and want equality, and also pulls a very complicated quote from the Declaration of Independence to like support his claim. The way that he uses logic.
Right. So what does this mean for you planning your lesson now that you have those two ideas in mind?
I guess that students need to be able to pick up on those things.
And you need to give them the opportunities to do that before they hit the exit ticket, right?
Yep. So that they can answer this exemplar response successfully.
Yep. Right. So that means in your lesson, you need to create space to be able to talk about both the emotional appeals he makes as well as the logical appeals, so that whenever the exit ticket comes, they've got a good chance that you're not going to be surprised by who got it and who didn't, right? Because you set them up well to do it.
Yes.
All right, cool. How did this activity work for you, writing a mastery response?
What do you mean, like how did it work?
You and I coaching here. What are you taking away? I'll ask the question better. What are you taking away for your planning going forward?
Okay, so I guess the biggest thing that I'm taking away from my planning is that in order for students to be able to answer this mastery question, like I have to teach it. I have to be able to cover certain things in the lesson so that they are able to answer this question.
And you have to know what they are.
Yep, and I have to know what they are.
Yeah,
Absolutely correct.
All right, man. Thanks for doing this, Gerard.
No problem.
It was awesome.